Life on the streets for any child can be brutal, dangerous, and sometimes traumatic due to the environment many find themselves in. Joseph Njoroge lived that life on the streets of Eldoret and then Nairobi for 7 years before being rescued into a home and getting a second chance at life. More than 2.5 decades after well-wisher rescued him from the streets, he is doing the same for young boys and opening doors for a better future for them. Leila Mohammed brings us this story.
Precious. Joseph
Njoroge routinely makes his early morning rounds at the rooms where the boys who live at his home sleep. Beds need to be neatly made and the rooms well kept before the boys can begin their day's chores. It is at this early hour that he gets time to have one-on-one chats with former street boys who, he tells us, need frequent reassurance that they can leave their pasts on the cold streets and build a warm future at their new home.
Hili ndio jiko letu ambalo vijana wanapikia. These boys are responsible boys.
He says his own journey on the streets began in Wasegeshu County just before his 10th birthday. His mother, a single parent of 4, was struggling to make ends meet, so he chose to ease her burden and look for a life outside her home, starting on the streets where he moved from Eldoret to Nairobi. This life grew into a desperate one for Njoroge, one that saw him in situations which he says he would much rather not have been in.
I lived the same life street kids are living now, and as I said, exposed to violence, usage of drug abuse, stealing, sleeping, not sleeping in the houses in cold weather.
For 7 years on the streets, he says he had to fight off older boys trying to exploit him. He recalls having to escape from mobs, baying for his blood after snatching pedestrians' belongings. This in addition to the sometimes harsh weather conditions he had to put up with at night.
And it was not a very good life, feeling neglection. It's you living a miserable and hopeless life.
A helping hand was stretched out to him over 25 years ago, taking him in at the Muli's Children Home and giving him a chance to start school at 13 years of age. But his past would give him a burden for the vulnerable homeless.
Later, I started visiting the streets of Nairobi and I started meeting street kids and I tried to follow up on my friends that we stayed together, and it touched me and I felt that maybe I could be the solution.
Njoroge and his family have made a home for the many children who are on the streets. In the few years he has had boys living in his facility, Global Hope Rescue and Rehabilitation Center. As they go to school, he has faced a number of challenges, finances being the major one. Despite this, he soldiers on, keen to address the observation that the boy child is vulnerable at the moment.
And that is a fact up to now. The boy child is quite neglected up to this point. So anytime I rescue a girl up to today and I give a call to a center or a rescue home anywhere, people absorb those girls very fast. But when I rescue a boy and try to call another organization for a boy child, they tell me, Joro, you can care for that.
The boys under his care see a big brother, a father figure and a mentor who has shown them love that was foreign to them before.
Nikataanga shule, yani nilikuwa kazi yangu ni kuzurura tu. Niko shule open nani, niko form 1 nasoma. Alafu ni mimi chief chef hapa.
Life yangu ilikuwa tu mashida tangu ni mtoto mchanga, kulala hata bila kumanga. Wazazi walikufanga kwa ajali wakaniacha bila mtu akunijali. Watu wa familia wako wacho mbali. Kazi kujadiliana mnyatagawana mali. Nilikosa otherwise ikanibaki nikanyangalami. Nikasol mitaani. In this world, it's all about money.
He has documented his journey in a book which he hopes will inspire many. The author Hannah Hindrakova says that the time she spent at his center, just like others before her, gave her life lessons she needed to be shared.
Normally I mix fiction and reality, but history was so strong that there was no necessity of any fiction.
And amid all the seasons, motions and dreams, Njoroge has a suitable helper, a much-needed source of support, his wife.
I felt really comfortable working or being close to someone who really understands where we've come from.
For the former street child, he will continue to walk the streets of major towns and cities, hoping that one day he will not meet another child on the street. Leila Mohammed, NTV.